Howdy folks, High Value DMD. Don't just give me your subscription, but please let me earn it. Let me earn your like and let me earn your comment. This video is going to be a bit of philosophy, religion, Christianity focused when it relates to dating. One of my subscribers left me a comment. I'm going to read it and I'm going to respond to it. Can you make a video on what to do or how your behavior in life should look from a biblical worldview if you failed at being able to find a wife? That's from Justin Shelton, 1776. Well, hey man, I appreciate you leaving me that comment, and that tells me that you care what I have to say. You care about the advice that I can give, and that's truly an honor to make a video for any of you young guys out there watching this that may find and glean some help and some truth from this. I'm in a unique position to be able to answer this because I have recently gotten married. I've been married 1 week now, and it's been awesome. We moved out here, out western United States, and we've been getting settled in, and my wife has been taking care of the apartment, and I've been going to work, and it's been awesome. As I reflect back to how I've gotten to this point, I remember in dental school is when I really started to try to date, because I knew my career was on an upward trajectory. I knew where it was going. And so I wanted to get other aspects of my life and go ahead and start preparing for that. As soon as before dental school started, when I moved out to Florida, I started looking diligently for people that would be good candidates for me to potentially date and then marry. I met them at church, but most of the people that I went on dates with were all, ironically enough, from dating apps. They weren't from in person. I remember that when I got up in the morning, I would literally just roll over and grab my phone and just start swiping on the dating apps. I'd do Hinge, I'd do Bumble, I would do Upwards, I would do a bunch of them. And at night, the same thing. I would just get ready to go to sleep and start swiping my limit. Playing the odds, so to speak, just seeing who would match with me and how our conversations went. And so I did that. I did that a long time. Here I am towards the end of my 20s, closer to my 30s than my 20th birthday. I always thought in the back of my head, I was like, what if I get to where I am right now and I'm not finding anyone, or I'm not having any luck? Because in my hometown, I remember before I moved to Florida, the prospects were slim pickings, so to speak. Man, I was getting all these big old chicks on these dating apps, like overweight. You could tell these country girls were putting down that chicken fried steak and biscuits and gravy. They're just not in shape, And that's the type of people that were popping up in my apps and my algorithm. It was tough, man. It was tough. It makes you really question kind of where you are as far as your own worth. But when I got to Florida, I was in dental school. It took off a lot, and people in Florida keep themselves in better shape, right? I mean, bikini season is pretty much 9 months out of the year. And so it's more of an active culture. And I did a lot better out there. I dated better quality women than I didn't even hardly date that many people up in East Texas, over in East Texas. There was a chance that I guess it wasn't going to work out for me, right? Even though I did all of the right things, right? I got my career in order. I was going to church. I wasn't sleeping around. I was practicing celibacy. But women are very picky and very choosy, more so today than they ever have been. And I would also argue that men, in many ways, also are as well. But in the advent of social media, you can see people living these what seems to be extremely glamorous lives. You can see people going to vacation in Greece all the time with their perfect world. Like their life is perfect and they look perfect. And a lot of these women, that's what they want. They want these perfect things. And it's tough out there, man. And there's a lot of girls that just are no good. Same with guys. If you're a woman watching this, there's just a lot of trash people out there. A lot of nasty people. A lot of liars. A lot of low quality people. And in this day and age of just the hookup culture, it's just that much harder, right? And so I'm just thinking out loud for a moment, trying to hone in on an answer to your question. How would you live from a biblical worldview? How would I have lived if I just simply, it just never happened for me? Well, I know for myself, my income would have continued to increase. And I know that I would have progressed in my career. And I know that there's a lot of, as a man gets older, right? And as they acquire more resources and they're more mature, they got it going on, right? There's going to be more women that are attracted to that, but not for the right reasons. They're going to be attracted to just simply what you have. And so that would be tough because you would get way more attention from women, which would be flattering, right? Maybe in your 20s, you got completely screwed and you didn't get any looks from women, any dates. And then on to your 30s, you're single, you're trying to do your thing, live for God, be celibate. And so that would be tough, man. There would be women that would be trying to get after you then. Faux show, man. And I talked about celibacy, but technically you're not supposed to have sex outside of marriage if you stick to Orthodox Christian beliefs. That's the only way that you are allowed to have a fulfilling sexual relationship. And so, I mean, that's probably a core thing that you are asking in a roundabout way, right? You're kind of asking that without asking that. And for that, I don't know how you do that. And in the back of my mind, I always thought, I am going to be faithful. I'm going to not have sex. I'm going to look for my wife. I'm going to honor God, right? But I also thought that eventually there's going to come a point where I cannot hold that part of me back anymore. That there is like an expiration date on that. And that's tough to say. That's sad to say that, but I mean that's kind of like the honest truth, right? Especially if you're a man, you want to have a fulfilling sexual relationship. And the only way to do that is through marriage. I mean, your life would look just single, man. You'd be single and you'd be praying a lot. You'd be praying that God could remove your desire, or you would just continue praying that God would bring someone into your life to marry, right? The solution, right? I don't like to say that, but you want to get married as a Christian. You want to do that, okay? Especially if you're somebody that Paul talks about in the New Testament that burns with desire. It's better to get married than to burn with desire. To have those sexual temptations that you cannot fulfill. You got to get married, man. And instead of being single, it was never going to be, well, I can't find a Christian girl, so I'm just going to be single. It was never going to be that for me. Okay, I highly considered, if I could not find somebody that was like an evangelical Christian or perhaps a Catholic, perhaps an Orthodox Christian, things like that, I was open. Okay, at some point I started approaching this. I'm like, okay, whoever I meet, whoever I click with, I'm just gonna see where this goes. But they had to have a faith and believe in God, right? I never was going to be able to end up with someone that was an atheist. So I decided to open my worldview and consider dating someone that was a Latter-day Saint, a Mormon, someone that was part of that church, right? That was really about my option C or plan C. It was never a plan A. It probably wasn't a plan B. The plan B would have been like the other sects of Christianity, and then Mormonism it's sort of like towards Christianity, but it's different. I would consider that, man. I would consider keeping your options open with that. And while it is not ideal, I believe that God wants us to have a similar faith to our spouse. But I'll be honest, man, a lot of people out there who are Christian, it's not like they understand all of the nuances and intricacies within Christianity. There's tons of evangelical Christians that would not be able to explain to you the Trinity. They would not be able to explain to you things like predestination or how salvation actually works. They wouldn't be able to. They know that, and some haven't even quite connected the dots to be able to say out loud that Jesus Christ is God, was God in the flesh. They know he's God's son, right? It says that in the text, he's God's son. However, I think that God can see faith. People know conviction. They see faith. They are drawn towards him. And so even though they may not be able to articulate deep theology, I think that they are on the right track, if that means anything to you. I don't think that people are just damned to hell because they are a little bit off. Okay, not to say that you can say, oh well, everybody can be saved, or it's like you cannot hold crazy theological beliefs that differ from the Bible. But just because you might not completely understand doesn't mean that you are not a Christian or you're not going to heaven. Like I just watched this movie. I'm kind of going on a rant here, but hopefully it's making a point to you. I just watched this movie about 1600s Japan, where people converted to Christianity, right? They spoke Japanese, okay? And these Europeans are coming over there trying to tell them about Christianity. How much of the Bible do you think that those baby Christians, those early Christians, young in their faith, right? How much do you think they really understood? Probably not a lot. They understood that Jesus came here to sacrifice himself to forgive our sin, right? That we could have the opportunity to be in heaven with him. And you think about all of the people in the Bible, how when Jesus was there, they didn't quite understand everything. And so I think that don't be so wooden with who you are trying to date regarding their faith. Make sure that they have a general consensus, like a general direction and idea, and you as the man, you can help teach them and guide them into what is truth and biblical truth. Now, let's take the Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, for example. I think that there are people sitting in a Baptist church that are not saved, and they will not go to heaven. And I think there are people sitting in Mormon churches that they may not hold to all of the strict doctrine of the Mormon church. They may not believe it. They may believe in Jesus Christ, in the fundamentals, and they may very well be saved. And so I don't think you can just count out these other people that are out there for you, if that makes sense. I would recommend to you to date with an open mind. Know what your faith is. Be grounded in your faith and what truth is, and give it everything you got. Give it everything you got. Don't turn down dates because somebody is... Now, Islam, I don't think Islam is compatible with Christianity whatsoever. So, you got to be careful because like with Jehovah's Witnesses and stuff like that, and certainly not Scientology, okay? Hopefully you understand the core idea of what I'm saying. I don't want you to be single. I don't want you to have to live a celibate life. But only you know if you can do that. And if you can't do that, then you've got to get married. And you've got to do everything you can to make sure it happens. But you also got to have faith and pray. And then God, He will guide you in what you need to do. That's a long-winded answer to your question, and I hope that was helpful. And with that, I will leave you. I hope I earned your subscription. I hope I earned your like, and I hope I earned your comment. Let me know what you think below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What religion are you? Are you Christian? Are you Buddhist? Are you Muslim? Are you a Latter-day Saint/Mormon? Let me know. Do you agree with this whole idea of biblical dating or marriage? Until next time.